Hey everyone! Welcome back to English Lab. I'm your host, Jenney. Today we're starting something very special together, a complete IELTS English listening practice and learning guideline that will help you understand how to truly learn English fast and effectively. If you've been struggling with English listening, if you often feel lost when people speak quickly, or if the IELTS listening test feels too hard, don't worry. You are not alone, and you are definitely in the right place. I've been exactly where you are, and I'm going to guide you step by step through the mindset, the habits, and the daily actions that can completely change your English journey. But before we dive in, take a deep breath, relax, and get ready to learn in a simple, natural, and enjoyable way. Let's start with a little truth that many English learners ignore. Learning English is not about memorizing words or grammar rules. It's about understanding the rhythm, the sound, and the feeling of the language. When you listen, you're not just hearing words. You're feeling the tone, emotion, and connection between speakers. This is especially important for the IELTS listening test because it's not a vocabulary test, it's a comprehension test. It checks how well you can understand real-life communication. So from today, I want you to think of English listening as more than just a task. Think of it as a skill that you can train, just like you train your muscles at the gym. Every time you listen carefully, even for a few minutes, you're getting stronger. Now, one of the biggest mistakes English learners make is believing they can't understand native speakers because they speak too fast. But let me tell you the truth. It's not about speed. It's about familiarity. Imagine you're listening to a song in your own language. You can understand it easily because you've heard those sounds and words thousands of times. But when it's English, your ears are not yet used to those patterns. That's why daily listening is so powerful. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain is learning to recognize the flow, pronunciation, and stress patterns. Over time, what sounded impossible starts to feel normal. And that's when real progress happens, quietly in your mind, as you keep listening. So, let's talk about the IELTS listening test for a moment. It has 4 parts, and each part gets a little harder. The first part is usually a simple conversation, maybe a booking call or a person asking for directions. The second part is often a monologue, like someone giving information about an event or a place. The third part is a more academic discussion, like students talking with a tutor, and the last part is a lecture or academic talk. The secret is not just understanding the words, but predicting what's coming next. The more you listen to English in daily life, the easier prediction becomes. When you hear someone say, "Let's move on to the next topic," you immediately expect a change of idea. When you hear, however, you expect a contrast. Your brain starts to automatically connect patterns, and that's exactly what the IELTS test is measuring, your ability to follow logical meaning, not just words. Now, here's where most learners go wrong. They only practice IELTS listening tests. That's like learning to swim by only watching videos of swimming. You need real water, not just theory. In the same way, you need to expose yourself to real English in real situations, not just exam recordings. Watch English shows, listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, or even simple English stories. Don't worry if you miss words. That's completely fine. The goal is not perfect understanding, the goal is connection. If you can follow the story, feel the mood, and catch the main idea, you're improving faster than you think. And when you go back to IELTS recordings later, they'll suddenly sound much easier. Another important tip, don't translate in your head. Translation is a habit that slows down your brain. When you hear, "How are you doing today?" don't try to change it into your native language. Just connect it with the feeling or image of someone asking about your day. When your mind starts to link English with images, emotions, and real situations, you become a fluent listener. You start to think in English, not just study it. That's the real secret behind people who seem to learn quickly. They live the language, not just learn it. If you're serious about improving, I want you to start building a small daily listening routine. It doesn't have to be long. Even 15 minutes a day can change your English over time. For example, every morning while brushing your teeth or making breakfast, play a short English clip, maybe a podcast or this channel's video. Don't force yourself to understand every word. Just let the sound play naturally. Then later, when you have time, listen to it again and try to catch new words. The first time, you focus on the general idea. The second time, you notice details. The third time, you start to recognize patterns. This layered listening approach is extremely powerful for IELTS because it builds both confidence and comprehension. Now, let's imagine a simple practice you can do right now. I'll say a few short phrases slowly, and I want you to repeat them out loud after me. Don't worry about accent or perfection. Just focus on the rhythm and sound. Ready? How are you today? It's a beautiful morning. I'd like a cup of coffee, please. Can you tell me the way to the station? I'll see you later. Excellent. You just practiced real listening and speaking at the same time. If you repeat small dialogues like this every day, your ears will get stronger and your pronunciation will naturally improve. Listening and speaking always grow together. Many students also ask me, "Jenney, I listen a lot, but I still can't understand movies or fast speech. What should I do?" Here's my answer. Don't try to understand fast English right away. It's like running before you can walk. Start with slower, simpler content. Use English learning podcasts or short dialogues with subtitles. Watch them multiple times. Slowly, increase the difficulty. When you listen to native speakers, your goal is not to understand every word, but to understand the story. Gradually, your ears will adapt to different accents and speaking speeds. Trust the process. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. And remember this: mistakes are your best teachers. Every time you misunderstand something, it's not a failure, it's feedback. If you heard the word library but thought it was laboratory, that's actually great. It shows you what sounds are confusing so you can focus on them. Write them down, repeat them, and practice listening for them again. Over time, these small corrections add up to big improvements. So before we end this part, I want you to make a promise to yourself that you will listen to English every single day, no matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter if it's only 5 minutes while waiting for the bus or 10 minutes before bed. What matters is that you make English part of your daily life. Because the truth is, language is not something you study once a week. It's something you live every day. And I promise you, if you follow this path, in just a few months you'll be amazed at how naturally you start to understand English, not by memorizing, but by truly connecting with it. We're going to go deeper. I want to show you how to actually train your ears to understand IELTS listening recordings, how to find the answers with confidence, and how to avoid the small traps that make many students lose marks. So, get comfortable, open your ears, and let's begin. First, let's remember what the IELTS listening test really wants from you. It's not testing how many words you know. It's testing how carefully you listen. The test is designed to see whether you can hear the details while also understanding the bigger meaning. That means you need two types of listening: global listening and focused listening. Global listening means you understand the main idea or purpose of the talk. Focused listening means you catch small details like numbers, dates, names, and specific words. During the exam, you need both. So the best way to train is to practice switching between these two skills. Let me explain with an example. Imagine you hear a recording where a woman is booking a hotel room. The man asks, "When would you like to check in?" She says, "On the 23rd of August, please." The main idea here is a hotel booking, but the detail, 23rd of August, is what you must catch for your answer. So, when you practice listening, always ask yourself two questions. What's the main idea, and what details are being given? If you make this a habit, your listening accuracy will grow naturally. Now, one of the most powerful ways to improve your IELTS listening is to understand keywords and paraphrasing. This is the area where many students lose easy marks. IELTS questions rarely use the exact same words as the recording. Instead, they use different words with the same meaning. For example, if the question says the price of the course, the recording might say the course costs or you'll need to pay. So, you need to train your brain to recognize these meaning changes. Here's how you can do it. Every time you do a practice test, take one question and find how the same idea was expressed differently in the recording. Write both versions side by side. After doing this several times, you'll begin to notice the most common patterns. Your brain will automatically expect paraphrases during the exam, and you won't be tricked by them. Another key skill is prediction. Before you listen to any recording, quickly read the questions. Don't just read them, think. Ask yourself, what kind of information am I going to hear? A number? A name? A location? A date? If a question says, the train leaves at underscore, 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 your brain already knows you'll hear a time. That small mental preparation helps your ears focus on the right kind of word. This is a huge advantage in IELTS listening because recordings are played only once. Prediction helps you listen actively, not passively. Let's do a small exercise together. Imagine you have a question that says, the lecture will be held in the underscore, 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 underscore hall. What kind of word should you expect? A place, right? So when you hear the recording, you'll pay attention when the speaker mentions buildings or rooms, like auditorium, conference room, or main hall. That's how you catch the answer more easily. Active listening means you're not just waiting, you're predicting and catching. Now, let's talk about something very important: traps. IELTS listening is full of little traps designed to test your concentration. For example, the speaker may give one answer and then change it. They might say, the meeting is on Friday. Oh wait, no, it's been moved to Monday. The correct answer is Monday, not Friday. Many students miss that correction because their brain relaxes too soon. So, here's a rule. Never stop listening until the speaker finishes the sentence. Always expect possible changes. IELTS loves to do this. It's not trying to confuse you. It's testing whether you're listening carefully till the end. Another trap is when two pieces of information sound similar. You might hear numbers like 15 and 50. They sound close, but they're different. The best way to handle this is by practicing with different accents: British, Australian, and American, because the IELTS test uses all of them. Watch real English videos from each accent type. The more your ears hear natural variations, the easier it will be to distinguish small differences during the test. Now, I want to talk about something many students forget: spelling. Even if you understand the answer but spell it wrong, you lose the mark. So, when you listen, imagine how you'd write the word. This is why it's so helpful to read English subtitles while watching shows or videos. You connect the sound with the correct spelling. Over time, this builds what I call listening memory. You'll recognize both the sound and the written form automatically. Another helpful habit is shadowing. This is one of my favorite techniques, and it works wonderfully for listening and pronunciation together. Shadowing means you listen to a short audio clip, maybe 1 or 2 sentences, and then immediately repeat what you heard, copying the pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. For example, you might hear, "Could you tell me where the library is?" And you say it right after the speaker, almost like an echo. You're training your brain to process English sounds in real time. If you do this daily, your speaking becomes more natural and your listening speed increases dramatically. Try it with podcasts, movies, or even this video. It's simple but powerful. Let's talk about another kind of listening for context. Sometimes you may not know a specific word, but you can still understand the meaning through context. For example, if you hear, "She didn't bring an umbrella, so she got wet," you might not know the word umbrella, but from "she got wet," you can guess it's something related to rain. IELTS listening rewards this kind of smart guessing. You don't have to understand every word, just understand the message. The more you practice this, the more confident you'll feel, even when unfamiliar words appear. Now, let's make this more practical. Imagine you're doing an IELTS listening section about a city tour. The question might say, "Tourists are advised to bring underscore, 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 underscore." In the recording, you might hear, "Make sure you bring comfortable shoes because there's a lot of walking." So the answer is comfortable shoes. But maybe later, the speaker says, "You don't need to bring water bottles. They're provided." That's a trap. Some students write water bottles because they heard it first, but they didn't notice the word don't. So, you must pay attention to negatives, words like not, don't, won't, and except. They completely change the meaning. If you train yourself to catch those small words, you'll avoid many silly mistakes. Another trick IELTS uses is giving information in a confusing order. For example, if you're listening for a phone number, they might say, "You can reach me at 624-8912. That's 624-8912. Or if I'm not there, try 624-8901. The answer could be the second number, not the first. So you must wait till the speaker confirms which one is correct. The key is patience and attention. Now, let's talk about time management in the IELTS listening test. You get a few seconds before each recording to read the questions and a few seconds after each section to check your answers. Use that time wisely. Before listening, quickly underline keywords in the questions. After listening, review your spelling and grammar. For example, if the question needs a plural word and you wrote book instead of books, that's a lost mark. Always check if the grammar fits the sentence. Here's another golden rule: don't leave blanks. If you miss an answer, make an educated guess. Sometimes your guess might be right, and there's no penalty for wrong answers. Never panic if you lose track. Take a deep breath and focus on the next question. The biggest mistake is to keep thinking about the one you missed. That's how students miss 2 or 3 more. Move forward. You can review later when transferring answers. Speaking of transferring answers, in the paper-based test, you'll get 10 minutes at the end to write your answers on the answer sheet. Use that time carefully. Write neatly, double-check spelling, and keep an eye on word limits. If the instruction says no more than 2 words and you write 3, it's wrong, even if it's correct in meaning. Accuracy matters as much as understanding. Now let's talk about accent and intonation. In IELTS, you might hear a mix of British, Australian, or North American speakers. Each has different sounds. For example, a British speaker might say can't as can't, while an American says can't. They mean the same thing. Don't get nervous when you hear a new accent. Just keep listening to English from various countries every day. The more your ears experience variety, the more flexible your listening becomes. I also want you to pay attention to stress and tone. In English, meaning often depends on which word is stressed. For example, listen carefully. I didn't say he stole the money. Depending on which word is stressed, the meaning changes completely. If I stress I, it means someone else said it. If I stress he, it means maybe another person stole it. So, when you listen, notice where the speaker's voice goes up or down. It helps you catch meaning faster and feel more natural when you speak. You see, listening is not just about your ears. It's about your focus, your curiosity, and your emotions. When you truly want to understand someone, you naturally listen better. That's why I always tell my students, don't listen like a robot. Listen like a friend. Be interested in the speaker's story. Feel their emotion. If they sound excited, you'll remember it better. If they sound sad, you'll connect deeper. Emotion improves memory. It's scientifically proven. Let's wrap up this part with a small practice tip. Pick one IELTS listening recording every week. Listen to it 3 times. The first time, just listen for the main idea. The second time, write down keywords or phrases you hear. The third time, check the transcript while listening and notice what you missed earlier. This triple-step listening builds confidence fast. You'll be surprised how much you start catching after a few weeks. And here's a little motivation for you. Every good listener was once a beginner who didn't understand anything. The difference is that they didn't give up. They kept listening. And so will you. Because here on English Lab, you're not just learning English, you're transforming your brain, your confidence, and your future. We've already talked about how IELTS listening works and how to catch information carefully, but now I want to take you beyond the test. I want to show you how to build real English listening habits in your daily life. Habits that don't just help you pass IELTS, but help you actually live in English, to think in it, feel it, and enjoy it. Because the truth is, language grows fastest when it becomes part of your lifestyle, not just your study plan. So today, I'm going to walk you through how to make English your natural daily companion, even if you're super busy or don't live in an English-speaking country. Let's begin with one of the biggest myths I hear all the time, that you need to move abroad to improve your English. That's completely wrong. You don't need to go anywhere. You just need to bring English into your environment. Your world can become English if you choose it to be. When you wake up, listen to an English podcast while you brush your teeth. When you eat breakfast, read the headlines in English. When you take the bus or walk to work, play an English story or conversation. It doesn't matter what it is. The goal is constant exposure. Think of your ears like a plant. The more sunlight, water, and care they get, the faster they grow. Your ears need daily English sunlight. Even 10 minutes a day makes a difference because it keeps your mind connected to the rhythm of the language. Now, let's talk about what you should listen to. Many learners make the mistake of only listening to academic or difficult content because they think that's what serious learners do. But that's like trying to climb a mountain without learning how to walk first. You should start with things you enjoy. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you love football, listen to English football commentary. If you like romantic dramas, watch short clips with subtitles. When you enjoy what you listen to, you remember it better. Your brain releases happy chemicals like dopamine, which actually help you learn faster. Learning doesn't have to be boring. It just has to be consistent. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but Jenney, I don't understand everything. I get frustrated. And I completely understand. I felt the same when I started learning French years ago. I couldn't understand more than half of what people said. But I didn't stop. I just kept listening, and little by little, the sounds started making sense. That's exactly what happens with English. The first few weeks may feel confusing, but one day, you'll suddenly realize that you can follow a full conversation without translating. That moment feels magical. So, don't run away from confusion. It's a sign of progress. It means your brain is learning new patterns. Let's make this practical. I want you to build what I call a listening lifestyle routine. This doesn't need a schedule full of rules. It just needs small daily habits. For example, every morning, spend 5 minutes listening to something simple in English, maybe a daily news update or a short story. During lunch, you can listen to an English podcast about something you like. Before bed, replay one of the clips you heard earlier and try to repeat some sentences out loud. That's it. These small moments add up over time. You don't need hours. You just need consistency. Remember, a drop of water shapes a rock not because of power, but because of persistence. Now, let's talk about how to make this fun. One of my favorite activities is English mimicry. This means copying the way native speakers talk, their tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. Pick a YouTube clip of someone speaking naturally and listen to one line at a time. Pause, repeat, and try to sound exactly like them. Don't worry if it feels silly. It's actually a fantastic way to train your ears. When you mimic someone, you notice small sounds you never heard before. You'll understand how certain words connect, how native speakers reduce sounds, like how wanna becomes wanna or going to becomes gonna. When your ears learn these patterns, the IELTS recordings become much easier because you're used to natural speech. Another great habit is using English subtitles smartly. Some people think subtitles are cheating, but they're actually one of the best learning tools if you use them the right way. First, watch with English subtitles to understand. Then, watch again without them to test your listening. This way, you train both your eyes and ears. Over time, you'll rely less on reading and more on hearing. And if you really want to challenge yourself, switch your phone or social media language settings to English. You'll be surprised how much vocabulary you learn passively just by seeing English every day. Here's another fun trick. Create your own English zone. This can be your room, your desk, or even your phone. Label things around you in English like mirror, window, chair, bottle. When you see those words daily, they become natural to you. You can even talk to yourself in English while doing chores. For example, while cooking, say things like, Now I'm cutting the onions, or I need to add some salt. It may sound funny, but self-talk helps your brain practice forming sentences automatically. It builds fluency and listening connection because you're hearing your own English voice, which boosts confidence. Let's also talk about background listening. Sometimes you don't have the energy to focus, and that's okay. Just play English audio in the background while cleaning or exercising. Even if you're not listening actively, your subconscious mind is still picking up rhythm, pronunciation, and tone. It's like when you hear a song several times without paying attention, and later you realize you remember the lyrics. That's how your brain works. It absorbs language naturally. So don't underestimate passive listening. It's a secret weapon. Now, one question I often get is, Jenny, how can I stay motivated? My answer is simple. Connect English to your personal dreams. Don't study English just for IELTS or school. Study it for your life. Maybe you want to travel, get a better job, study abroad, or make international friends. Every time you listen, remind yourself, I'm doing this for my future. Motivation comes from meaning. When you have a strong why, you'll always find a how. Another idea that helps a lot is tracking your progress. Keep a small English journal. Every night, write 1 or 2 sentences about what you listened to that day. Maybe something like, I listened to a story about friendship, or I learned how to pronounce the word environment. Writing helps you reflect and remember. After a month, look back and you'll see how much you've improved. Seeing progress gives you confidence to keep going. Now, let's deal with something that stops many learners: fear. The fear of not understanding, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of sounding strange. I've seen so many wonderful students who never improved because they were too scared to speak or listen actively. But here's a little secret. Nobody cares if your English isn't perfect. People just care if you're trying. So let go of fear. Mistakes don't mean you're bad at English. They mean you're brave enough to learn. The moment you accept that, everything becomes easier. Let's do a small listening practice right now. I'll say a few simple sentences, and I want you to repeat them with me. Ready? I can learn English every day. My listening skills are improving. I understand more and more. English is becoming easier for me. I'm confident and ready for IELTS. Great job. See? Simple positive sentences like these are powerful because they reprogram your brain. Every time you say them, you believe in yourself more and your focus improves. Another thing that helps is variety. Don't listen to the same type of English every day. Mix it up. Listen to interviews, songs, short films, TED Talks, and daily conversations. Each one has a different rhythm and vocabulary. The more variety your ears get, the faster your comprehension improves. Imagine your brain as a radio. You're training it to catch all kinds of signals. And please remember, rest is also part of learning. Don't force yourself to study for hours until your brain feels tired. It's better to learn a little every day than to study too much once in a while. Your brain remembers better when it's relaxed and happy. So, take breaks, enjoy your progress, and celebrate small wins. Maybe after a week of daily listening, treat yourself to your favorite snack or movie. Learning should feel rewarding. Here's something I personally do and recommend to all my students. Keep an English playlist. Create a folder on your phone with your favorite English audios, podcasts, or songs. When you're bored or waiting in line, just press play. Even short 5-minute listens build your skill. And over time, those moments of practice turn into real understanding. Now, I want to remind you of something very important. Your accent or pronunciation doesn't matter as much as your clarity. Don't try to sound British or American. Focus on understanding and being understood. A clear, confident voice is more valuable than a perfect accent. When you listen a lot, your pronunciation will naturally improve because your mouth copies what your ears hear. So don't stress about how you sound. Just speak and listen with confidence. Before we finish this part, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself sitting in the IELTS exam room. The recording starts. People around you look nervous, but you're calm. You listen carefully, and suddenly you realize it's easy. You can understand everything because you've been training your ears every day. That's the power of daily listening. You've built not only skill but confidence. And when confidence meets preparation, success is guaranteed. So from now on, make English a living part of your day. Don't just study it, live it, feel it, and let it become a natural part of who you are. Because the more you surround yourself with English, the faster it becomes your second nature. You'll not only pass IELTS, you'll actually start thinking, dreaming, and enjoying life in English. And I'll be right here with you, cheering you on every step of the way. You've already learned how to train your ears, build listening habits, and make English a part of your daily life. But now, we need to talk about something that stops many students from reaching their full potential: mistakes. Everyone makes them, but not everyone learns from them. Today, I'm going to walk you through the most common listening mistakes English learners make, especially in IELTS and everyday practice, and more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to fix them. Because the truth is, your mistakes are not the end of your progress. They're the beginning of real improvement. Let's start with the biggest one, trying to understand every single word. This is a habit that almost every learner struggles with at first. You listen to something, you miss one word, and suddenly your mind freezes. You start thinking, what was that word? What does it mean? And while you're thinking, you miss the next 5 sentences. This happens all the time. The problem isn't your ability, it's your focus. You're focusing on perfection instead of understanding. So here's the fix. Stop chasing every word. Focus on the main message. Ask yourself, what is the speaker trying to say overall? In IELTS listening, this is especially important. You don't need 100% comprehension to get a high score. You just need to catch the key information. If you practice listening for meaning instead of words, you'll find your understanding grows naturally and your stress level drops immediately. The second mistake is not paying attention to keywords and transitions. Many students listen passively, like they're waiting for the answers to appear magically. But IELTS recordings are full of small clues that guide you if you pay attention. Words like however, but, so, on the other hand, in conclusion, and for example, tell you exactly where the speaker is going next. If you train your ears to notice these transition signals, you'll never get lost again. For example, if you hear, however, it means the speaker is about to change their opinion or correct something. That's often where the answer hides. So, the fix is simple. While listening, write down or mentally note transition words. They're your map through the conversation. The third big mistake is ignoring accents. Many students only listen to one kind of English, maybe American or British, But IELTS uses multiple accents, including Australian, New Zealand, and even Canadian. So when students suddenly hear a different pronunciation, they panic. The fix? Expose yourself to all of them before test day. Watch Australian YouTubers, British documentaries, and American shows. Each accent has its own sound rhythm, but once your ears get used to the variety, you'll never fear accents again. And remember, IELTS doesn't test accent recognition, it tests understanding. So as long as you can follow the meaning, you're doing perfectly fine. Another very common mistake is not practicing active listening. Some learners think that playing English audio in the background for hours will make them fluent. While background listening is helpful, it's not enough by itself. You also need active listening. That means giving your full attention. For example, when you're listening to a short conversation, pause after every sentence, repeat what you heard, and check if you understood. Ask yourself, what did they say? What's the main point? This kind of focus practice trains your brain to stay alert. The fix is to balance passive and active listening. Use background listening when you're doing chores, but dedicate at least 20 minutes a day to focus listening practice where you repeat, predict, and reflect. Now let's talk about spelling mistakes. One of the most heartbreaking reasons students lose IELTS points. You might hear the correct answer, write it down, but still lose the mark because you spelled it wrong. So how do we fix that? Simple. Train your ear and eye connection. Every time you learn a new word, don't just say it, write it. Then listen to how it sounds and spell it again from memory. Another good trick is to use dictation apps or websites where you hear a sentence and type what you hear. This builds your spelling muscle. Remember, English spelling is sometimes tricky because words don't always sound like they're written. But if you connect listening with writing daily, you'll build automatic accuracy. The fifth mistake is not reading the questions before listening. This one is huge. Many test takers just start listening without knowing what they're listening for. As a result, they get lost easily. But if you take a few seconds before the recording to quickly read the questions, underline keywords, and predict the type of information you'll hear, your brain will stay one step ahead. For example, if you see a question like, the lecture will start at ___________, your ears will automatically wait for a time reference. It's like setting your brain's radar. The fix is to always preview the questions. Make it a habit during practice. You'll be amazed how much easier listening becomes when you know what you're looking for. Another mistake that many learners make, and this one's sneaky, is losing focus halfway through. The IELTS listening test is about 30 minutes long, and it's easy to get distracted. Maybe your mind drifts for just a few seconds, and suddenly you've missed 2 answers. The fix is training your concentration like a muscle. During practice, don't just listen once and move on. Replay sections, take short breaks, and slowly increase your focus time. Meditation can even help. Just a few minutes of breathing before listening helps your brain stay alert. Also, remember to sit comfortably and stay relaxed. Anxiety blocks listening. When your body is calm, your ears perform better. Another mistake is not checking grammar and form. For example, if the sentence on the question paper says, he works as a __________, and you write teacher, that's correct. But if you write teaching, it's wrong because the grammar doesn't fit. Always look at how the blank fits grammatically into the sentence. It's a small thing, but it can cost marks. The fix: while reviewing answers, read the full sentence aloud in your head with your answer inserted. If it sounds wrong, check again. Now, let's talk about a mindset mistake: being afraid to make mistakes. I know this sounds funny, but it's true. Some students never improve because they only practice what they already understand. They avoid hard recordings because they're scared to feel stupid. But easy practice doesn't make you stronger. The best progress happens when you challenge yourself. So, listen to something slightly above your level every few days. You might only understand 60% at first, but that's okay. The next week it'll be 70%. Growth lives in discomfort. If you only do what feels easy, you'll stay in the same place. Another big mistake is depending too much on subtitles. Yes, subtitles are helpful, especially when you're just starting. But if you never remove them, your eyes do all the work while your ears stay lazy. So, the fix is to use subtitles in 3 stages. First, watch with English subtitles to understand the story. Second, watch again without them and test your ears. Third, turn them on only when necessary. This way, you're gradually training your listening independence. Let's move to a very practical mistake: writing answers while still listening. During IELTS listening, you need to multitask: listen, understand, and write. But some students get stuck writing one answer and miss the next question. The fix is to use short notes. Don't write full words if you can help it. Use abbreviations or quick letters, then fill in complete words later when you have time. For example, if you hear library, you can just write lib and complete it during the pause. Efficient note-taking saves time and keeps your ears free to catch the next detail. Another subtle mistake is not reviewing your own errors after practice tests. Many students do practice tests, check their score, and move on. But the real learning happens when you study your mistakes. Ask yourself, why did I miss this question? Did I lose focus? Did I misunderstand a word? Did I miss a negative? This reflection helps you see patterns. Maybe you always miss numbers or place names. Once you know your weak area, you can target it directly. That's how improvement becomes smart instead of random. Now, let's talk about plateaus. This isn't exactly a mistake, but it's something every learner faces. After a few months of improvement, suddenly you feel stuck. You listen every day, but nothing seems to change. Don't panic. This is completely normal. It means your brain is reorganizing everything you've learned. The fix is to add variety. Try new types of listening materials or combine listening with speaking and writing. Sometimes, doing a different skill unlocks your progress again. You can also challenge yourself by listening to real-life English, interviews, documentaries, or news. These will stretch your comprehension and push you past the plateau. Here's a mistake that's more emotional: comparing yourself to others. I know how easy it is to watch someone who speaks fluently and think, I'll never be like them. But that's not true. You're on your own journey. Everyone learns at a different speed depending on time, exposure, and background. The fix is to only compare yourself to your past self. Are you better than you were last month? Can you understand more than before? If yes, you're winning. Progress is personal, not competitive. Another listening mistake is not using repetition as a tool. Some learners think listening to the same recording twice is boring. But repetition is how your brain builds familiarity. The first time you listen, your brain works hard to decode the sounds. The second time, it relaxes and catches meaning. The third time, It recognizes patterns. Each repetition adds a new layer of understanding. So never feel guilty for reusing the same material. It's actually one of the smartest ways to learn. Here's something I tell all my students. Don't skip the difficult sections. When a part of the test feels too hard, that's the part you should focus on most. Because behind every challenge is a skill you haven't mastered yet. Maybe it's numbers, spelling, or connecting ideas. Find your weak spot and train it directly. Over time, what used to scare you will become your strongest area. Lastly, one of the most serious mistakes is losing patience. Learning a language is not a race. It's a journey. There will be days when you feel like you're not improving at all. There will be moments when you make silly mistakes. But please, never give up. Every single minute you spend listening adds value, even if you don't see it immediately. Your brain is always learning silently. One day, when you least expect it, you'll surprise yourself. You'll watch a movie or hear a podcast and realize you understood everything. That's the reward for patience. So, my dear learners, promise me this. From today, instead of being afraid of mistakes, start listening to your mistakes. Let them teach you. Every time you fail to catch something, ask yourself why. Every time you misunderstand, repeat and learn. That's how real English masters grow. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent, curious, and kind to yourself. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick mental exercise. Think of one listening mistake you often make. Maybe you get distracted easily, or you forget to check grammar, or you panic when you hear a new accent. Now, imagine yourself fixing it. Imagine listening calmly, focusing, and understanding clearly. Visualize your success. This simple visualization helps your brain prepare for real situations. The more you imagine success, the more natural it becomes in reality. Now, you understand what IELTS listening is really about, how to build listening habits, how to fix common mistakes, and how to build confidence step by step. But now we're going to take things to a whole new level. This part is for those of you who want to go beyond just practicing. It's for those who want to master listening like a pro. So, get ready, because I'm going to share with you some advanced techniques, real test time strategies, and powerful mindset tips that will make listening in English not just easier, but natural, clear, and smooth, even in fast, real-world conversations. The first thing I want to talk about is real-time listening prediction. This is one of the secrets top scorers use without even realizing it. When native speakers talk, they follow certain patterns. If you train your brain to predict what comes next, you'll understand faster and more clearly. For example, if someone says, "I went to the supermarket because," your brain can already guess that the next words will explain a reason, like, "I needed to buy some fruits." This skill is powerful during IELTS listening because you don't have time to translate word by word. Instead, your brain flows with the conversation. To train this, listen to short recordings, pause halfway through a sentence, and try to guess the next word or idea. Over time, your predictions get sharper, and you stay one step ahead of the audio. It's like surfing on a wave instead of trying to swim against it. Another advanced technique is chunk listening, listening to ideas in groups instead of focusing on single words. Native speakers speak in natural chunks of language like "at the end of the day," "as a matter of fact," "to be honest," and so on. If you learn to recognize these patterns, you'll stop hearing a stream of random words and start hearing meaningful blocks. For example, when someone says "as soon as possible," Your brain doesn't have to translate as soon as possible separately. You recognize the whole phrase instantly. This saves time, reduces stress, and improves comprehension. To build this skill, listen to common collocations, idioms, and short phrases daily. Repeat them out loud. Once your ear is trained to catch these language chunks, IELTS recordings will feel slower and more understandable. Another strategy that can give you an edge is shadowing practice. This means listening to a sentence and repeating it immediately with the same speed, tone, and rhythm as the speaker. At first, it might feel difficult, like your mouth can't keep up with your ears. But with daily practice, your listening and speaking will become perfectly connected. Shadowing improves your ability to hear fast speech because your brain starts anticipating the sound patterns. Choose short audio clips, maybe 30 seconds, and shadow them every day. Even 5 minutes of shadowing can make a huge difference in your listening speed. One more powerful method is listening and visualizing. Many learners think listening is only about ears, but your brain works better when it connects sounds to mental pictures. For example, if the audio says, "She opened the door and walked into a bright room," try to picture the scene in your mind. This activates multiple parts of your brain and makes understanding faster. IELTS often includes descriptions of locations, directions, or processes, and visualization helps you follow along smoothly. Try it next time you practice instead of just hearing. Imagine the story. Now, let's talk about keyword anticipation, a key strategy during the actual IELTS listening test. When you read the questions before the audio starts, don't just look at the words. Think about what kind of answer might come. If the question says, "The train leaves at underscore 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 underscore," you know to listen for a time. If it says, "The woman's job title is underscore 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 underscore," you'll focus on professions. This way, you don't waste energy on irrelevant details. Your attention stays sharp and focused on the exact thing you need. This technique is like turning on a spotlight in a dark room. Everything else fades, and the answer shines clearly. Another advanced technique is learning to catch paraphrases. IELTS loves to trick students by not repeating the exact words from the questions. For example, the question might say cost, but the audio might say price. The question might say begin, but the speaker says start. If you only train your ears to catch identical words, you'll miss these answers. So the solution is to build a strong synonym bank. While practicing, write down common IELTS words and their natural alternatives. The more paraphrases you know, the easier it becomes to match what you hear with what you read. Next, let's talk about listening under pressure, because even the best techniques won't help if panic takes over during the test. The IELTS listening test is timed and intense, and sometimes students freeze the moment they miss one answer. They spend the next 10 seconds worrying, and by then, they've missed 2 more. So, here's a golden rule. If you miss an answer, let it go immediately. Don't look back. Move on to the next one. Panicking doesn't bring the answer back, but staying calm can help you catch the next one. This mental skill takes practice, so train yourself during mock tests to keep your focus forward, not backward. Another secret that top scorers use is pattern familiarity. IELTS listening follows a fairly consistent structure: announcements, conversations, instructions, lectures, and more. The more you expose yourself to these formats, the more predictable they become. When you've practiced enough, you'll be able to guess what's coming just from the tone and rhythm of the speaker. For example, an announcement usually starts with a greeting and key information. A lecture usually begins with the main idea, then details. Recognizing these patterns gives you a quiet sense of control during the test. Let's also talk about note-taking like a pro. In advanced listening, you need to write fast without losing the thread of the audio. One technique is to create your own system of abbreviations. For example, W/4 with before for before, gov for government, info for information. This way, you can capture more words in less time. You can also use arrows and symbols. Remember, your notes don't have to be beautiful. They just need to be clear enough for you to read and transfer to the answer sheet. Practicing this kind of fast note-taking before the test can save precious seconds. Another trick is to train your ear for numbers and spelling. IELTS loves numbers, dates, prices, addresses, phone numbers. Many students lose marks because they can't catch numbers fast enough. To fix this, practice listening to numbers in different accents and at different speeds. Do short drills where someone says numbers quickly and you write them down. Over time, you'll stop panicking when numbers appear in the recording. The same goes for spelling. Train your ear to recognize letters clearly. In the test, names and addresses are often spelled out letter by letter. Knowing the alphabet fluently in listening situations gives you a big advantage. Let's go deeper into mindset now. One of the biggest differences between average listeners and fluent listeners is comfort with uncertainty. When you listen in your first language, everything is familiar, so you don't notice the small gaps. But in a second language, every gap feels like a problem. Advanced listeners learn to tolerate not understanding everything. They stay calm and focus on what they do understand. That calmness gives their brain the space to process information naturally. So, if during the IELTS test you hear something unfamiliar, don't panic. Just let it pass and stay focused on the main message. Another mindset secret is training like an athlete. Athletes don't just show up to the race and hope for the best. They train with strategy. You can do the same with listening. Create a training schedule. Some days focus on speed listening, some on accent exposure, some on shadowing, some on practice tests. This kind of smart, structured training is what turns learners into fluent listeners. Consistency beats intensity. Even 20 minutes a day, done with full focus, is more powerful than 3 hours once a week. Also, remember to listen beyond IELTS. The best IELTS listeners are people who love listening to English naturally. Podcasts, news, movies, YouTube channels, anything. The more your ears get used to real English, the less IELTS will feel like a test, and the more it will feel like a normal conversation. So, make English part of your lifestyle. If you enjoy cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you love sports, listen to sports commentary in English. Passion makes listening effortless. Here's another golden technique: backward listening. This is when you take one recording and work backward with it. First, listen normally. Then listen again with the script if you have one. Then shadow the speaker. Finally, remove the script and test your comprehension again. This step-by-step method builds a strong connection between sound and meaning. It's like climbing a ladder to understanding, one step at a time. Let's also talk about microlistening, a powerful tool for fluency. Microlistening means focusing on very short clips, maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and analyzing them deeply. Listen to the same clip several times. Notice the pronunciation, linking sounds, intonation, and stress. Many students struggle not because they don't know words, but because they don't recognize them in fast, connected speech. Microlistening trains your ear to pick up those hidden sounds. Once you master this, even fast audio feels slower. Now, let's cover one of my favorite mindset strategies: enjoying the process. Many learners treat IELTS like a mountain they have to climb as fast as possible. But when you enjoy the journey, you stop counting every small mistake. Instead, you celebrate the small wins. That positive mindset keeps your brain open, and an open mind learns faster. So smile when you practice. Celebrate when you understand a new accent. Be proud when you catch a new phrase. These little victories add up to big success. Another useful trick during the test is to use the tone of voice as a clue. IELTS speakers often emphasize the key information with their voice. If you learn to catch that emphasis, answers almost jump out at you. For example, if someone says, "The meeting will be at 10 a.m., the stress on meeting is a clue that it's important. So, train your ears to notice tone, not just words. And here's something advanced but powerful. Train your brain to switch between fast and slow thinking. During IELTS listening, some parts are easy and some are tricky. You don't need to overanalyze easy parts. Just flow through them smoothly. Save your deep focus for the tricky parts. With practice, your brain will learn to switch gears automatically, making the test feel less tiring. Finally, I want to talk about something that matters more than any technique: confidence. Confidence doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means you trust yourself even when you do. It means when the speaker talks fast, you don't panic. You breathe, you listen, and you catch what matters. Confidence comes from daily practice, from listening again and again, from building small wins. So, even if you're not perfect yet, walk into the IELTS test with your head up high. You've worked hard. You've trained smart. You deserve to succeed. Take a deep breath with me right now. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to remember that this journey isn't just about passing a test. It's about unlocking a new world through language. Every new word you hear, every phrase you understand, every audio you master brings you closer to that world. You are building something powerful inside you, the ability to understand, connect, and express yourself in English with ease. So, my dear learners, as you practice these advanced techniques, prediction, chunk listening, shadowing, visualization, keyword anticipation, paraphrase recognition, note-taking, accent exposure, and strong mindset, know that you are stepping into the level of true fluency. Not just test skills, but real-life listening skills that will stay with you forever. Wow! Can you believe how far you've come? When we started, you were probably just trying to figure out how to understand native speakers, how to catch every word, how to stop getting confused by accents or fast speech. But now you've grown so much. You've learned how to build strong listening habits, fix mistakes, use advanced techniques, and develop the right mindset to stay calm and confident. And today, I want to bring everything together, to give you your final guide for test day, and to remind you that your journey as an English learner doesn't end with IELTS. In fact, it's just beginning. First, let's talk about the day of your IELTS test. I know, it can feel scary. You wake up with that nervous energy in your stomach. You start thinking, what if I forget everything? What if I don't understand the recording? Let me tell you something. Those thoughts are completely normal. Everyone feels nervous before the test, even the top scorers. What matters isn't getting rid of nerves, it's controlling them. So here's what you do. Before you walk into the exam hall, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that this is not the first time you're listening in English. You've done it hundreds of times. You've practiced, you've trained, you've built the skill. The test is just another practice session, but this time with a paper and a timer. If you think of it like that, your nerves will start to calm down. Now, during the listening test, your best friend is focus. When the recording begins, be fully present. Forget everything else. Don't think about the next section. Don't think about what you just missed. Just stay in the moment. Focus on the voice, the tone, the rhythm. Let the words flow into your ears like music. Trust that your brain knows what to do. You've trained it. If you miss one word, let it go. Keep going. The secret to success is not being perfect, but staying calm and consistent. When the recording starts, always keep your eyes on the questions. Remember what we talked about earlier. Read them before listening, underline the keywords, and predict the type of information you'll hear. That way, you're not waiting passively. You're listening with purpose. Every second counts in IELTS listening, and your job is not to understand every detail, but to catch the key points that matter. If the speaker repeats information, that's often a clue. In many IELTS recordings, the speaker corrects themselves. For example, the meeting will be on Thursday. Oh, wait, sorry, I mean Friday. When you hear something like that, always go with the correction. The test is designed to see if you can stay alert, so don't rush to write the first thing you hear. Listen carefully until the idea is complete. Here's another test day secret. Always check your grammar as you go. If the question needs a plural noun, make sure your answer is plural. If the sentence needs a number, write it clearly. And during the transfer time, those last 10 minutes, double-check spelling. One small mistake can cost a whole mark. So don't waste those minutes. Use them wisely. Now, let's talk about something that isn't in the textbooks, your emotional strength. The IELTS listening test doesn't just measure your English. It also tests your patience, focus, and mental clarity. There might be a moment when the recording sounds too fast, or the accent is unfamiliar, or you miss 2 answers in a row. That's the moment when many students panic. But you will not panic. You will take a deep breath, reset your mind, and refocus. Because one missed answer doesn't define your score. You can still recover. You can still finish strong. Many top scorers don't get every single answer right. They succeed because they keep calm and move forward. Also, remember to take care of your body before the test. Eat something light but energizing, not too heavy, or you'll feel sleepy. Drink enough water, but not too much that you need the bathroom mid-test. These small details matter. Your brain works best when your body feels comfortable and your mind feels clear. After the test, don't judge yourself immediately. Many students walk out of the exam hall thinking they failed just because they didn't understand everything. But listening tests can be tricky. Sometimes the parts you think you got wrong are actually right. So, don't overthink it. Let it go. You've done your best, and that's what truly matters. Now, let's move from the test to something even more important, your long-term relationship with English. You see, IELTS is just one chapter. The real goal is to make English a natural part of your life. Once you've built your listening foundation, don't stop. Keep listening to English every day, not just for study, but for pleasure. Watch movies without subtitles sometimes. Listen to English music and try to understand the lyrics. Join English discussion groups online, or follow your favorite YouTubers who speak English. The more you surround yourself with real English, the more automatic your understanding becomes. One of my favorite things to tell my students is this: learning English is not about memorizing. It's about living the language. That means you don't just learn from books. You learn from people, from conversations, from stories. Every time you listen to a podcast, watch a video, or talk with someone in English, your brain is connecting patterns, learning tone, and building intuition. That's how you become fluent, not overnight, but naturally, like how a tree grows quietly every day. Let's talk a bit about self-belief. Because no technique, no strategy, no practice will truly work if you don't believe you can do it. You might have days when you feel stuck or when the words just don't make sense. On those days, remember why you started. Maybe you want to study abroad, maybe you want a better job, maybe you just want to feel confident speaking with anyone in English. Whatever your reason, hold it close. Let it remind you that you are capable. Every learner, whoever became fluent, once felt exactly like you, confused, slow, frustrated, but they kept going. That's what made them succeed. And you can too. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're sitting in the IELTS test room again. The paper is in front of you. The recording starts. You hear the voices, calm, clear, and familiar. You feel your breathing slow down, your mind relax. You understand what they're saying. You follow the conversation easily. You smile a little because you realize you've got this. You're not guessing anymore. You're understanding. You're in control. That's the power of all the practice you've done, all the hours you've invested, all the mistakes you've learned from. You are ready. After you pass IELTS, and yes, I believe you will, don't stop listening. Keep feeding your ears. Fluency is like fitness. If you stop training completely, you lose strength over time. But if you keep practicing, even just a little each day, you'll maintain your skills and grow stronger. Set small goals, like watching a new English show every week or understanding a podcast without subtitles. These small steps will keep your progress alive. I also want to tell you something very personal. I've seen hundreds of students improve their English over the years, and you know what the common factor was? It wasn't their background, their age, or their talent. It was their consistency. They showed up every day, even when they didn't feel motivated. They listened to the same recording multiple times, repeated difficult parts, and refused to give up. That's the real secret of success. Consistency beats talent every single time. So, my dear learners, as we close this full IELTS listening practice guide, I want you to remember this. English is not just a language, it's a bridge. It connects you to new people, new opportunities, new worlds. Every word you understand opens a new door. Every improvement you make is proof of your dedication. Be proud of yourself, because you're doing something amazing. And as you continue learning, promise me one thing. Don't let fear guide you. Let curiosity lead you instead. Don't say, "I'm afraid I won't understand." Say, "I wonder what new words I'll discover today." Change your questions, and your whole experience will change too. English will stop feeling like a subject and start feeling like a friend you get to know better each day. If no one has told you this yet, let me be the first. I'm proud of you. You've made it through hours of listening, through all 6 parts of this complete journey. You didn't give up halfway. You kept learning, thinking, improving. That shows real dedication. And I believe with all my heart that if you keep going like this, success isn't just possible, it's guaranteed. So, as we close today, take a moment to thank yourself. You've done something many people only dream of doing. You've taken control of your learning journey. Now, keep that same spirit alive. Because English is not just something you study, it's something you live. All right, my friends, that's it for today's final part. Thank you for joining me on this full English listening journey. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to English Lab so you can keep learning with me, Jenny. Together, we'll continue growing, learning, and unlocking the beauty of the English language, step by step, word by word, day by day. Remember, you're not just learning English, you're becoming a confident communicator, ready for the world. So keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. I'll see you in the next lesson, right here on English Lab. Take care, stay positive, and keep shining. Bye for now.